The Dow tumbled more than 500 points.
We're in the midst of a serious financial crisis.
In 2008, the U.S. housing market bottomed out.
We feel like we're in a financial world turned upside down. What kind of a world are we living in right now?
And in the coming years, a crop of cash-rich investment firms moved in.
Mom and pop apartment owners are going the way of mom and pop farmers.
New landlords drove up rents, and in the city of Los Angeles, the market shift intensified a crisis.
Does it mean that you've fallen far?
Yeah, I have.
This is kind of really vulnerable. It's like I'm showing you my bedroom, and it sucks.
For decades, an affordable housing shortage put low-income residents on increasingly thin ice.
What do we want?
Rent control!
When do we want it?
Now!
We need the supervisors to hear our voice today.
Now, long-term residents are being priced out of their homes with no place else to go.
Did you ever think that you could be homeless and living out of your vehicle?
No, not at all. But it could happen to anybody.
I unlocked it.
Thank you. Okay. All right, here, go ahead, honey. Hi, Kingsley, you want to give him a treat?
Yeah.
We've lived here for 16 years. We've always paid our rent on time and have been good tenants. Need some water? Yeah.
In 2003, the lease on this one-bedroom apartment that Melinda Peffer shares with her husband and 7-year-old daughter expired and rolled over into a month-to-month arrangement, which happens often in LA.
All right, so we're gonna do pizza and salad. We heard at the beginning of the year that the building was going to be sold. We didn't know who was gonna be taking over and owning it, but we realized it was an investment firm. Ooh, salad. You gonna eat your salad? You don't like it? I had no idea at that point in time that something called no-cause eviction was even legal.
The state of California allows landlords with month-to-month tenants in non-rent controlled buildings to terminate occupancy, often with just 60 days notice, which lets them renovate their properties and increase their profits.
This is where I sleep and I read books. That's my doggy. His name is Kingsley.
The new owner plans to renovate the property and offered Melinda a new lease at a higher rent for a different unit in the building.
The fact that somebody can just come in and tell you, you need to leave. This isn't your home. It's an investment that I purchased and you need to go. So it's devastating, really.
There are no official statistics, but it's estimated that the most common form of rental agreement in LA is month-to-month, potentially leaving millions vulnerable in these precarious arrangements.
Mi razón o mi meta, o la meta de estas reuniones, en mi opinión, es crear y utilizar poder comunitario que ya existe en la comunidad.
Noah Greenberg is a lawyer and tenants' rights activist who helped Melinda Peffer contest her notice. He says most of his clients are much lower income than Melinda and are often reluctant to put up a fight because the personal cost of losing a case is so high.
So if I'm living in an apartment and the landlord says, I'm gonna jack up your rents 100% or whatever it is, fighting it creates risk for me in case I lose.
Yes. If you fight an eviction, you're taking the risk that you will not only be evicted, but that you'll have a judgment and an eviction on your public record forever. So it is a huge risk, and that's why most tenants don't take that risk.
So when it comes to fighting eviction, who are you going up against?
It is extremely infrequent that we are going up against mom and pop landlords. Most of our litigation and most of our organizing involves big corporate landlords who are new to the neighborhoods where we're working, who just bought buildings or single-family residential rental properties and immediately either jacked up the rent or tried to evict everybody.
Since the practice is legal, courts often rule in favor of property owners, and rents have rapidly risen. From 2010 to 2018, the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city of Los Angeles increased a staggering 84%. During the same period, median household income only increased 11%, pushing many out onto the streets.
Homelessness is a byproduct of a failed housing market, right? And so what you're seeing is housing costs and the cost of living far outpacing what people are earning, right? And the opportunities that exist.
Pete White's organization, Los Angeles Community Action Network, helps people who have fallen into poverty and homelessness.
You see the skyline just changing every day?
Help me sort this through in my mind,
Yep.
okay? Or on the rooftop of your center, here in the heart of Skid Row. Over here you see, lots of tents and encampments and whatnot. But if you look out this way, I grew up in LA,
Yep.
as did you. And there has never been as much development and as many skyscrapers and cranes going up than we're seeing right now. How do you reconcile this and that?
You can't. It's a tale of two cities. We're in need of 550,000 units of housing. But instead of building that housing, we're building luxury housing. And once a person leaves whatever stable housing they're in, there's really very few options for them.
You done, Bobby, or what? You still packing up?
A developer recently bought this entire block of buildings to convert it into student housing for nearby University of Southern California, vacating the residents en masse.
You can see it starts from basically the end of the block right here. This is the only single family kind of residence. That's one of the 7 buildings. And then it goes down the whole way past the street here. These were like multi-generational families living in here.
The majority of tenants here banded together to convince a judge they deserved to stay put, but they lost. And now, many of them have yet to find a new place to live.
Well, actually, I'm just taking everything out from my ex-apartment, basically. We're just hoping that we could get something soon. And we're planning probably to stay in the car tonight.
I'm so tired.
The combination of large-scale housing instability, rising rents, and stagnant wages has created a new class of homeless that defies the stereotypes. Officially, homelessness across LA County decreased 4% in 2018, from its peak of 55,000 in 2017. But many of the newly homeless are hidden from plain view.
I realize this is the first time I've ever walked anyone through this. Is kind of really vulnerable. It's like I'm showing you my bedroom and it sucks.
Kevin Racino says that after his rent increased nearly 30%, he could no longer afford an apartment, despite working full-time.
So then I'll kind of just like put all this stuff down here. I'll lower my seat. And this is all the stuff that I use for like my little makeshift bed. I could not do this in a neighborhood. Like I would not be able to, I think people would think something and would either call the police because most of this is like criminalized. So I wouldn't even be able to do this if it was for Safe Park, right?
In Los Angeles, sleeping on the street, even pitching a tent overnight, is legal. Sleeping in your car is not.
So a safe parking program basically can exist on any lot, public or private, as long as we have access to it and it doesn't have a use at night.
Emily Kotrim says that so many people are now living in their vehicles that all 6 safe parking locations throughout the city have a waiting list.
Do you find that people who end up here for the first time are a little shell-shocked that this has in fact happened?
Absolutely. There is a feeling of disbelief, and maybe they need a way of stabilizing. I think she'll want some milk.
No.
No.
Of the estimated 9,000 newly homeless in LA, safe parking is able to accommodate only 60 people using their cars for shelter per night.
Dee, are you hungry?